Hello, everybody. Today, in this very exciting video, I'm going to be reviewing the Small Faces' very first album on the Decca label, same label as the Rolling Stones. And joining me in this video is Jason, the Old Millennial. Why don't you like to introduce your channel to me? Well, for
All
the
right, I'm Jason The Old Millenial. I have a channel. I cover movies and music, do a lot of rankings and lists, and I've been diving into a lot of new music. Kind of, I mostly do 60s, 70s, but I'm trying to dive into other stuff that I haven't listened to yet. And so this was definitely one of those bands I haven't really been into yet. So uh, definitely one I'm starting to listen to more now. The Small Faces.
Yeah, and if well, no one's watching right now, but whoever is gonna watch and watching the replay or whatever, we did a Small Faces review, their third album, Odkins Nuck on Flake, which is on not my channel but on Garrett's channel. Which, if I remember to, I'll post a link to that video down below, if I remember, which probably won't. But this is their very first album. Very, very different from their third album.
Yeah.
Yep. Let's get into the track listing. Side one, track one, Shake. Let lead vocals, Ronnie Lane.
Okay.
What's your opinion on it?
Yeah, I thought it was a really good opener. Really good, like loud rock music. Um, Especially when you start off just going shake, and then good drumming too. I like the drumming in between the shakes. The shake, to do, whatever the. Uh,
Yeah,
yeah, I really
Kenny
liked
Jones.
enjoyed that.
Kenny Jones on the drums. You said in our Odkins Not Gonna Flake that Kenny Jones was your favorite person in that album too.
Yeah,
I think he might be your favorite member of the band. I think it's a great song. Kind of weird that they had Ronnie Lane, open up
yeah,
the record with, but weird that he opens it up instead of Steve Mary, which is their normal lead
yeah.
vocal. But I think it's kind of unique. I think it's quite nice. I wasn't as crazy when I first heard it, but it grew on me. But
Mhm.
yeah, it's a pretty good song.
Yeah, solid opener.
Hey guys, what's up, Ryer? Just reviewing. uh, okay, next track, "Come On Children," which is we get our first lead vocal by Steve Marriott. What do you
Okay.
think about it?
Well, the opener is it was one that maybe it opens with like this drum solo or something, and it reminded me so much of like Keith Moon. It was just really fast and loud. It's just it's just like so that was pretty interesting when I like said I think he reminds me of Keith Moon, the Kenny, I think he said his name was
Kenny
uh,
Jones.
Kenny Jones. Yeah, he definitely I definitely really felt it on this song at the beginning. I think there's not enough. It felt like it was more music, more instruments than actual singing though. I wish there's more singing in it, if I'd be honest, but it was a pretty good opener with that drum solo.
Yeah, really, really good song. Yeah, I agree. It's more of a this is more of a jam out session than it is an
Yeah,
actual song, and
jamming.
I quite like it a lot. It definitely gives me early 65 Who vibes from it, which
Yeah,
they're my favorite band. So
yeah.
them doing this kind of style of music is to me a welcome surprise, to say the least. Okay, the first track was written by Sam Cooke, and this track was written by the band. This next track, you better believe it, was written by Kenny Lynch and a different person I can't pronounce the name of. What do you think of that track?
I really liked you better believe it. I think it was uh to me, I like I said, I don't know that any of these were hits, but this to me sounded like it could have been a hit. Like if it was me, I would have put this like as an A-side hit. Single would be this would be my number one choice for the single off the album if it was me. it has kind of a nice pop sound to it. Nice, mid late 60s pop sound. Yet I like how he's talking about his girlfriend or something like that, and then he ends
Yeah,
everything with "You better believe it," and then the background vocals, "You better believe it." Like, so I love the catchiness of it, and it was
yeah,
definitely my favorite.
great. Definitely a standout when I first heard this record.
Okay, yeah,
When I first heard the Small Faces, it was this one song that was on this album. It's at the very end. We'll get into it, but I listened to the whole album and I wasn't too crazy about it. But this was definitely a standout track. I found out it was not a single, nor was it a B side. It's just an album track, and there are two singles off this album, which I will be getting into, like two A sides, and this was not one of them. Which
okay,
I'm surprised because this is a
yeah,
great. This
yeah,
definitely had A side
yeah.
potential for sure. Okay, track number 4, "It's Too Late," which was written by the band.
Okay. Thing I remember most about this song is the beginning. I want to say it's like the bass maybe, and it's a really cool beginning. It's like boom, 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 boom. I don't know. It has like this. I don't know what they
Yeah,
did, but
yeah, it's like doom, dun, dun,
do
doom.
do do do. I don't know. It has like this cool like sound to it. So I really enjoyed that. And yeah, it was another solid. I think pretty solid song for them.
Yeah, I think it's really good. Definitely. Not like nothing like creative or like this. This came out the same year that the Beatles made not Sgt. Pepper, Revolver, and the
Yeah.
same year the Beach Boys made Pet Sounds, and the same year the Who
Oh,
made the fifth one.
yeah.
But even though this is not like any of that, this is like a really great like early mod rock album, and this is like a really nice. I wouldn't say it's a pop song. It's like more of like a nice little jam out song. I can say
Hmm.
that. Not like the second track, but like still, it's really good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, next track, "One Night Stand."
Yeah. And as farther down we go, the more I'm forgetting these songs. But I feel like there was a pretty good intro to this song, if I remember right. And I liked it. I remember I wrote it down on my page. That was one of the songs I liked on the album. Uh, I feel like there's some good background vocals, if I remember right, on this as well. This is one of those. I always love good background vocals
Yeah,
on songs. So I remember liking it.
yeah, it's probably the weakest track on side one, but I still think it's a really good track though. This was written by Marriott, Steve Marriott, and Ronnie Lane. Same with forgot to mention on the last track, but it was also a band effort that song. Next song though was not written by them. It wasn't a. I don't think it was a cover, but I just don't. It wasn't written by them. Written by Samuel and Potter. "What You Gonna Do About It," which closes out side one.
Hmm. Yeah, I enjoyed this one. Again, I think it's the background vocals that do this. What you gonna do about
About
it?
it.
And
Yeah,
I love how they hit the do. They go high on the do. So I don't know, I kind of enjoy that when bands do that kind of thing. What you gonna do about it? I don't know. So yeah, I enjoyed that. It was a pretty catchy song, I thought.
yeah, I love it. It's a great track. This was one of the A sides. This
Okay,
went to number 14 in the UK.
okay,
Went to number 28 in Canada, but it didn't go anywhere else. It didn't go anywhere else.
yeah,
And, the funny story about the song is their record producer was like, "Hey, buy a bunch of your copies," and like that's how people start to know about it. And so then the Small Faces started buying a bunch of copies, and the producer started buying bunch of copies of "What You Gotta Do About It," the single, and that's how it ended up getting to number 14. Is that reason? And then it started to get more airplay and stuff like that. But plus, this was their very first single. Was "What You Gonna Do About It," which
that
is
makes sense. It does have a little bit of pop sound to it, maybe that would have
yeah.
been good for the time.
Yeah, pretty good for a first single. Not the best first single like "Love Me Do," but still really good. Okay, side two opens up with "Sorry She's Mine," which was written by Kenny Lynch.
Okay, another Kenny Lynch.
Yeah, he writes quite a bit of songs on this album. Not a
Okay,
lot, but he writes quite a few. I think he writes like 3, I think, off this album. Yeah, he wrote 3 songs, and yeah, pretty good. What you think about it, though? Sorry, She's Mine.
Yeah, I don't have a lot to say. I think it was an okay song, but I can't remember a lot about it.
That's the problem with these early '60s. Well, this wasn't an early '60s release, but a lot of these early albums by these bands, like they're like just them trying to get their feet in the water, trying to
Yeah,
like do stuff that influenced them and stuff like that. Then the next albums normally is them like improving on that sound that they started.
yeah,
And I don't know if you heard their second album yet. Their
not yet.
self-titled album, their second self-titled album.
Yeah, there's Small Faces, then there's the Small Faces, then Small Faces. It's like very confusing.
Yeah, well, there was 2 self-titles. There's one for Decca, then there was one for Immediate, which has a different album cover. Which, since I'm on the subject matter,
Yeah, I saw that.
I was to say that's like a big improvement from this album, and then the next album after that is Odkins Not Gonna Flake.
It's going a
So
different direction, kind of.
each album they go like deeper and deeper into more of like a more creative output.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
songs like Sorry She's Mine and stuff like that, just them like, hey, we're here. Okay. Next track, which is a Ronnie Lane, Steve Marriott original, Own Up Time, which is an instrumental.
I was gonna say this was the one instrumental on the album, pretty much, and
each of their albums had an instrumental. Their first 3.
okay.
Like their first album had this track. The second album has a song called Happy Days or whatever. Then the third album had, I'd Get Stuck on Flake. But
Yeah. And I'm never a big fan of like instrumentals necessarily. I mean, obviously they're very good. The musicianship is pretty good over the album. Like I said, the drumming is really good. The guitar playing and the lead singing. I mean, all 3 are pretty good together. And this is definitely one of those. Yeah, it's just them showing their, I guess, musicianship on it, which is fine. It's just not one I care too much about, I would say.
yeah, it's probably the second weakest track on the album.
Yeah.
But it's pretty good. It's all right. The third track, You Need Lovin', which the beginning, some of the lyrics might sound familiar to you, because Led Zeppelin completely took the lyrics from this song to make Whole Lot of Lovin'.
Ah, really?
Yeah, if you listen to it again,
Yeah.
like, you need fooling.
Oh my gosh, really?
And then at the end, he's like, woman, you need love. Yeah. It's like,
Oh wow.
this song wasn't written by them. Well, in the credits, it says they wrote it, but they kind of like rewrote it. But the part where it's like, woman, you need love, that part was from this album, because Robert Plant and Jimmy Page were huge Small Faces fans. So
Yeah.
not only that, but get this, music fans, Mario was originally gonna be the lead singer of Led Zeppelin. Like Jimmy Page asked him first, and he denied it. So then they went with the best option, second best option, which was Jimmy Page.
Yeah, I'm reading a Led Zeppelin biography right now called like A to Z, or When Giants Walk the Earth, or something like that is the name of the book. And yeah, they mentioned Small Faces in it. Yeah, like you said. So now you said that, I was like, oh yeah, I remember they mentioned that. I was like, oh, the Small Faces.
I would say, I don't know if you were there with the reactions to the classic. I had a battle with Led Zeppelin, Whole Lot of Love versus You Need Love.
Oh, really?
Small Faces. Of course, the Small Faces lost, but
Well, yeah.
it was like a vote or two that actually agree with me with me liking this version better. But they're like, yeah, I prefer the vocals better, which I do prefer. Like musically, Led Zeppelin did it better, but vocally, to me, the Small Faces did it best.
Okay,
But
yeah.
what do you think about You Need Loving?
Yeah, it was a good song. Yeah, another very solid. I feel like there's a lot of solid songs. I keep saying when I listen to it, I'm not like necessarily over the top with each song. Like I'm not like, it's not like a My Generation song, from the Who, or
Yeah, that's fair.
You Can See for Miles or Magic Bus. Like those I like more. So I feel like the album like is missing like a real signature song almost, but they're all solid, so it's not bad. It's just I feel
Yeah,
like
it's just,
something just a little more maybe.
UK artists, at the time with the we can have our singles, with our huge singles. I was say if we ever review in the beginning, there's a bunch of great songs on there. There's a song called All or Nothing, and I wanted to review There Are But Four Small Faces on Garrett's channel because it has Tin Soldier and Ichiko Park, which those are huge songs for them. But
Are those compilation albums? What are those?
it's that self-titled album I showed you earlier.
Yeah.
There Are But Small Faces is a US version of
Oh,
that.
okay. Okay.
It's like one of those things with the US things with the differences. In the
Okay.
beginning, though, was actually it was like the second Decca album with the Small Faces, and it was. They say it's a compilation, but like 12 out of the 14 songs are like songs that weren't on this album, so I would not consider it a compilation. Well, there are songs that would end up on their second album, but like they were like re-recordings or recordings before it. So I don't know. That whole thing is so confusing.
Yeah,
Okay.
'cause I looked it up on Wikipedia, the discography, and it only had like 5 studio albums on there, but it
Yeah.
had some compilation albums on there. I think From the Beginning was one of them, and
Yeah. From the beginning, like the only 4 albums you should listen to are the first 3
yeah,
from the beginning, and that's it. Like the
not the
last 2
two
albums
seventies.
at least were not that. They're good. I'm gonna review them probably by myself because they're not that remarkable. Like I'd say this is like more adventurous than that album, and this is not that adventurous. So
Yeah, I was surprised to see there was 2 in the late 70s. I was like, oh, I thought they ended and Ogden's not gone flake, but
I
they haven't
honestly think they
back
did
together.
stop there. Well, they were gonna release some more music, but Steve Marriott tried adding Peter Frampton into the mix, and that didn't work out.
Yeah. Anyways,
We got sidetracked.
I know.
Track number 4, "Don't Stop What You're Doing," which is a band effort written by the
Yeah,
whole band.
I don't know. It was one of the weaker tracks for me. I wasn't a big fan.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
The weakest track on the album. Like, it's a good track. Yeah, a lot of people agree that this is the weakest track on the album.
Okay.
So you're not in the minority there. It's not like it's not like I'm gonna be like, what? This is
Well,
the big
yeah.
the album. No, this is the weakest. Next
Okay.
track though, which E to D, which on the outside it just sounds like a generic blues track,
Yeah, weird name too.
but
E to-
actually it's actually a drug song. There's actually a drug called E2D,
Oh, okay.
but like the way it's spelled, it's actually they say it just says E2D, but like it's actually a song about drugs, which
Okay.
one of if not the very first not album, one of the very first songs that has a drug song in it, from what I heard. One of if not the first song about a drug. Like I'm pretty sure this predates Lady Jane. Pretty sure it also predates. Of course, it predates Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds.
Okay.
But what do you think? This is
I'll be honest, it's another track I was not a fan of on the album. For me, I don't know why. When I was re-listening to this, Own Up Time, Don't Stop What You're Doing, E to D were the only 3 that I was like not really a fan of. Everything else I thought was good, but
what was the one track you said before those 2?
Own Up Time.
Okay, yeah. That's fair. Yeah, I think it's well. After hearing the story behind it and all that stuff, I think it's pretty cool. Like I'm into like the bluesy stuff, and this
Right. Yeah.
this reminds me of I'm a Man by the Who. Like this is like kind of like that, either that or Please 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 by the Who. Like this just there. We're gonna do a blues track kind of track, and I used
Okay.
to hate it, but it grew on me. It's
I'm
still
not
it's
much into the blues as much maybe as you are.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's just about preference, I
Yeah,
guess.
yeah.
Maybe if they would have did it better, like with the lyrics are great, just the style that they chose, just they didn't do it right. Last track though gets back to a more popular side. Sha La 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 Lee, which was written by Kenny Lynch.
Okay. Okay, much.
What a
Yeah,
great way to end up the
on
album.
the album, I think I like the chorus. Again, has, I want to say, more pop sound to it or more catchiness to it. Uh, yeah, I really like the song. I think it was a good closer.
Yeah, I love it. This was the first Small Faces song I've ever heard.
Okay.
Like when I first heard it, I'm like, "Wow, this is really good." Then I'm like, "Oh, it's on this album." And then I listened to the whole record. I'm like, it's all right," but it grew on me over time. This was like the only Small Faces album I was listening to for the longest time, and then I got into their second album and the third album, and the rest of them. But this is really solid way to end off an album though, and yeah, really good. Okay, top 5 songs and a song rating. I mean, in an album rating from
Uh-huh.
1 to 10, starting with you.
All right. Number 5, I'd probably go with One Night Stand. Number 4, It's Too Late. Number 3, What You Gonna Do About It. Number 2, Sha La 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 Lee. And then number 1, You Better Believe It.
Great.
With You Better Believe It and Sha La La Lee, I don't know. I feel like those should have been like hit singles. If it was me, if I was a record producer, I've been like that's my 2 A sides. But
Sha La La Lee was an A side. It went to
okay,
number 3 in the charts in the
okay,
UK. Did pretty well.
okay, that makes sense. I think that definitely would be a song I can see people enjoying on the radio.
Mm-hmm.
um, because it's fairly. I feel like because I listened to Ogden's Nut Gun Flake first, which is more psychedelic and whimsical. I don't know how to say. It's definitely a different sound to it. And then you
Yeah.
come to this. This is like loud. For the most part, I thought it was kind of loud rock music. Um, so it's much different style to me. I would almost love if they would have maybe put in like a ballad in there somewhere. I don't know. Maybe they don't
Oh,
do ballad,
yeah.
but
They did do a ballad, but like I think it was after this album. It wasn't even on any of their albums. It was on the US album. There Are Small Faces, and it's actually really good.
okay.
We should have did more ballads. I agree.
Yeah, I think that would have bounced the album out. Maybe that's just my feeling of like
Yeah,
throwing a
it's
couple
like
ballads in there.
it's like if Please Please Me didn't have Anna, or there's no Do You Know the Secret. It does. It's like if it didn't have those 2
Yeah,
songs.
yeah, I
Yeah.
like a little bounce maybe. I don't know, and not that, I don't know the Who ever did really ballads except for Who's Next. They have a couple kind of ballad type songs on that album that I like, but anyways, and Led Zeppelin did. Well, Led Zeppelin did some, Going to California. It's a little more
And
not
thank you for
ballad but softer. So acoustic, I love it. I guess I would say throw an acoustic guitar song in there or something. I don't know. Maybe that's what I'm saying. But overall, it's a solid album. I would say. I think it's missing like a really big hit song or two on it. So I'm giving it 7.5, which is a little bit higher than what I gave Odgin's Nut Gun Flake Gone Flake. It's just like a couple hit songs away from being like really good. I think. I don't
So
know.
okay, so your ranking would be the audience and then this album. Okay, that's well. It's crazy too. Is when I first heard the album, I listened to this album, then I just kind of slowly got into it. You were like you got into it like that crazy stuff, and then you went back to this album, and it's
Yeah.
just a complete 360. It's same thing if
Yeah.
you did the opposite. Like if you go from this album to the third album, like a complete 360. Like
Yeah.
second album just is like a nice little transition. Like hey, we're kind of getting into that direction. Like not really, but like it's like hey, we're starting to do different things and yeah. My 5 favorite songs would be number 5 would be You Need Lovin'. Number 4, What You Gotta Do About It. Number 3, You Better Believe It. Number 2, Sha La 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 Lee. And number 1 would be Sorry She's Mine. And my ranking of this album would be a 9 out of 10.
Okay.
Probably because it had Own Up Time and Don't Stop What You're Doing. And yeah, just kind of those 2 songs. And I did this with the last album I reviewed. But like, what would you consider to be a dishonorable song? Like a song that you're like, I could do without this song.
For me, I mean, I guess Own Up Time I probably would have done without.
Yeah, me too. That's like actually I thought Don't Stop What You're Doing was the weakest, but
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, Own Up Time, the weakest
I don't
track.
know.
We both agree on that.
I'm just not a big like instrumental guy. I guess the Beatles did it like one time, I guess, but
Yeah, Flying, but they
flying.
did it right.
I don't know. I like when people are singing. For I guess is my thing.
That's fair. Yeah. This album went to number 3 in the UK. This album.
Okay, so that's good.
Yeah, pretty good for a first album. Obviously, it wasn't number 1 like the Please Please Me, but you know,
Ogden's went number one, right?
yeah, it went straight to number 1.
Yeah, yeah. So
Their second album did the weakest out of the first 3.
okay,
It went to number 12,
okay,
which I find that to be interesting.
yeah.
But change of plans channel. Well, this is an update now. I was gonna do every Saturday, but then I'm like, oh, like this is gonna last a year if I do that. So every Monday and Wednesday, I mean every Saturday and Wednesday, I'll do a solo Beatle review. I was gonna do it just every Saturday, but then I realized like Paul McCartney has like 30 albums, Ringo has like has like 20 albums, and I still have all of George Harrison's and John Lennon's too. Well, I'm doing Paul McCartney next because the poll says.
George Harrison.
But yeah, I'm including the Fireman albums too. The
Really?
Wings, Fireman, and well, I write well. The only ones I'm not including from Paul McCartney is the classical albums because it's like oh yeah, yes, classical albums. I'm like, no, I'm not including that.
Yeah, and John Lennon did like one album where it was like all old 50s songs as well.
Yeah, I'm not excited to review that
And
one.
I'm not crazy about that.
I'm really not excited to review the 3 albums that he released in the 60s. Like his
Oh
60s
no,
album,
no, those are terrible.
oh yeah, I'm gonna have to review them when I get to them.
The
John
wedding.
Lennon's albums, George Harrison. Well, tomorrow I'm gonna be reviewing George Harrison's last 60s album, which is Wonderwall, not Wonderwall, Electronic Sound, which it's just noise, but I'll review it, and
Okay.
after that's done, it's gonna be regular studio albums. And Paul
Okay.
McCartney had an album called The Family Way, which
Yeah.
I'm also including that in the discography of
Okay.
his because it evens
movie.
out to a nice 30 albums from McCartney. So
Okay.
yep, hopefully y'all are excited for that. I am not excited for tomorrow because I was listening. I was gonna listen to a few times the Electronic Sounds album, but I'm like, no, just one time only. I listened to it like a time or two before, but man, it's so bad. Well, it's definitely down there with John Lennon's experimental albums.
Yeah.
Like the Wonderwall album with the Indian music, I enjoy because there are
Okay.
some songs that I'm like, yeah, this is actually really good. But yeah, tomorrow's gonna be a struggle. I'm a big George Harrison fan, but you're gonna hear me wail on him tomorrow. Just like that Hollies review, one of the rare
Yeah.
times you see me badmouth an artist I love. Okay, there's 2 people watching now.
Is
Well,
Brian there?
I'm assuming he's still watching. Still listening, and
Okay.
yep. Hopefully, you'll be able to review the second album sometime in the future. I don't think Garrett wants to do the self-titled. I think he wants to do their upper small faces. So we'll do that on his channel. But yeah, we'll do their self-titled, their second self-titled. And I think Saturday, me and Breyer are doing the Birds' second album, Turn, Turn, Turn. So
Ah, cool.
I'm excited for that. And
Yeah.
oh yeah, also, you said it on Breyer's channel, but 50 essential albums.
Yeah.
I want you to mention that so that people on my channel could check it out.
Yeah. We haven't. I don't know when we're gonna do it. We haven't set a date or anything. We're waiting for Garrett to.
Yeah, of course.
He's going through a move or something.
Yeah, he won't be able to. That's why that's kind of like why I've been asking for you and Breyer to be making videos on my channel so that
Yeah.
we could get some people some videos out. But
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, I want to do this. Come with this idea of like the four of us, me, Briar, Nick, and Garrett, uh, getting together and coming up with 50 albums from each decade, starting with like the 60s, 70s, 80s, then the last one's going to be 90s onward. Because I don't know if we can come up with 50 90s albums or not. But the basic idea is like we'd each take turns kind of drafting a song or drafting an album basically into the 50 of that decade and just going, all right, I'm gonna put this album out, and then the next person says, okay, and then they cross that off their list and go, okay, here's the album, and we kind of each, so the four of us together kind of are compiling our ideas of like trying to encapsulate what's the word, the 60s sound, the different types of genres maybe, and different, and I mean you want to hit all the big ones.
Yeah.
Obviously you got to hit Beatles, you got to hit Bob Dylan, you got to hit Beach Boys. There's a lot of big ones, Who, Led Zeppelin, whatever. You want to hit the big name of that decade. If someone came up to us and said, what are some albums I should listen to, we could say, here's 50 albums, which is that's probably quite a bit, but there's so many good albums. It was hard for me to. I was thinking at first I thought like maybe a top 25, and then I thought, man, there's too many good albums. I had to expand it to 50. So that's why I came up with 50, because I was like, I feel like the four of us could come up with probably 50 albums.
Yeah.
Because we all have somewhat different maybe tastes.
Yeah. There's gonna be some albums that I'm gonna put. You're gonna be like, I didn't think about putting that album on there.
Right.
Like say if I put I don't know, a quick one, or Quick One by the Who, or Evolution by the Hollies. You're like, oh yeah, that's a solid choice. Or well, one of us is gonna say like Crosby, Stills and Nash, and you're like, oh yeah, that album. That's 1969. Yeah, that is essential. But yeah, I'm not gonna just pick my favorite albums, because I'm gonna try to be as reasonable and as essential as possible with it. Like I'm not gonna like pick like Yellow Submarine by the Beatles, or Stay with the Hollies by the Hollies. I'm gonna pick an album that I'm like, you know what, this is something that every music fan should listen to. Like Against Knock on Flake. Well, I said this on Briar's channel, but I'm not gonna go like into like the somewhat obscure ones first. I'm gonna get into the more popular ones, and as we go down the list, I'm gonna be like, yeah, Against Knock on Flake, that album. First I'm gonna go like Pet Sounds, Sergeant Pepper's, and then it's kind of like an iceberg. It just go down the list of albums.
Yeah, because you can't. I mean, I can't put every Beatles album on there, so I'm gonna try to. It's hard because there's so many good Beatles albums. I'm like concising myself to maybe 6 Beatles albums instead of 12 or whatever.
Yeah, there are some really bad Beatles albums. So like Beatles for Sale with the Beatles, and
with the Beatles, I wouldn't put on there, or Beatles for Sale, or Yellow Submarine, like you said. Like those definitely I would not put on the list. But
like if I was going by like I said, if I was just putting like every album that I liked, like I quite like Yellow Submarine, because the side one's really good, but just side 2, when I'm not gonna have someone who hasn't listened to music before like listen to just one side of music and then just try to throw away the second side,
Yeah.
Same with vice versa.
Yeah.
Then like the 70s, I'm probably gonna mention Rush, like because Garrett and Briar got me into Rush now. When
they love Rush.
Zeppelin, The Police, all the essential albums and from the essential artists.
Yeah, from the essential artists. Yeah.
Okay,
like I'm not a David Bowie fan, but I'm sure there should be a David Bowie
album. I have quite a bit of Bowie albums on my list. So
So if you throw out a David Bowie album, I'd be like, I don't know that album, but it should be on the list, and I would agree with it.
Yeah, I'm not gonna like do his infamous albums. Like his first 1967 album is, Ooh, a nice Zeppelin record, Jason.
Zeppelin
2. Yeah, essential. That's an essential album.
That's an essential one, yeah.
Yep. I'm working. I promise I'll watch this on my way home.
All right.
Nice. I think this is the one album Garrett hasn't listened to yet. Like 1 out of 3. He listened to the first and second album, not the second and third, but not the first. How would you guys like to go through the Eagles discography? 6 albums, so short and simple. Yeah, I would
love
love
the
to
Eagles.
go through their Hotel California, their first album. So many.
Desperado, yeah.
Those are all their albums that I would consider essential, like that, like 70s, like
Yeah.
essential for the 70s, and yeah, and a lot of solo Beatle albums too that I'm going to be mentioning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like I was just talking about Mind Games with me and you before.
Yeah.
A lot of people consider what's it called, Walls and Bridges to be his like deep album, like his like his big underrated album that everyone should listen to. But I think Mind Games is really underrated. I think that album is really, really underrated.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like people really know about the title track and that's it, but so many other great songs.
Yeah, good song too.
I listened to Self Titled and Desperado today. Both great albums. Yes.
Yeah.
The first album opening up with Taking It Easy and Witchy Woman, which the rest of the album is just as great, but I don't know. A band that could open up with 2 great songs like that. But yep, this should be the end of the video. Got a little music discussion in, and check out Jason's channel. Great channel.
Thanks.
Finally had all 3 of you guys on my channel. I had Garrett on my channel reviewing the Holly's Worst album, which what a crappy way to be on my channel. It's for that album. And then Briar with one live video, then an actual review with the Mr. Cameron.
Yeah.
And you with the Small Faces. So you guys were in good videos. Hopefully, Gary, when you start making videos and you have time again, we could actually review a good album on my channel. Because yeah. Okay, that'll be at the end of the video, and see you guys next time. So long.